When someone offers a drink, they're often serving up an expectation as well. The expectation that the moment will improve, that the nerves will dissipate, that the atmosphere will heat up. Alcoholic beverages have, for centuries, occupied this role in human interactions, functioning as a sort of emotional shortcut between desire and action. It's no coincidence that romantic encounters often commence with a glass, and dances are invariably accompanied by drinks in hand. Yet, what few people ponder is, behind the initial euphoria, what does alcohol truly do to sexuality? Does it amplify pleasure or merely numb the senses to the point where we fail to recognize our body's shortcomings? While many believe that alcohol enhances sexual experiences, making them more intense, daring, and uninhibited, the reality is more nuanced. Initially, alcohol's social disinhibition may appear to alleviate performance anxiety, fear of rejection, and shyness. However, this perceived freedom comes at a cost, a disconnect from one's physical sensations. Alcohol compromises sensitivity, reduces blood flow to the genitals, and directly disrupts the hormones that regulate desire. While arousal may initially spike, it often fails to sustain itself. What was intended to be pleasurable becomes a frustrating struggle to elicit a response from a body that has become sluggish and unresponsive to its own commands. Envision a 32-year-old man named Raphael. At a romantic dinner, he endeavors to impress the woman he's just met. They indulge in wine, followed by cocktails. The atmosphere sizzles, but at the moment of intimacy, the unexpected occurs. His body fails to respond. What was destined to be a memorable encounter concludes with feelings of shame and disappointment. Raphael's story is not uncommon, and it's not solely a male predicament. Women, too, experience the insidious effects of alcohol: lubrication difficulties, diminished sensitivity, orgasms that are elusive or even absent. Yet, this topic remains shrouded in silence. It's as if alcohol continues to be perceived as the modern Cupid, when in reality, in many instances, it's the stealthy saboteur. It is crucial to understand that alcohol's effects extend beyond the physical realm, significantly impairing one's perception of reality. It distorts both the signals you receive from others and those you transmit. Consequently, consent becomes a murky area. Determining what was genuinely accepted versus what was influenced by an alcohol-clouded mind becomes a challenging endeavor. This ambiguity paves the way for profound regrets, emotional turmoil, and even trauma. Situations that may appear consensual in the heat of the moment can be perceived entirely differently the following day. This kind of confusion is more prevalent than many realize, particularly among young people who subscribe to the dangerous notion that it's okay if everyone is drunk. When alcohol enters the equation, instinct trumps reflection, and that's dangerous. Not only because it can lead to impulsive decisions that result in unintended pregnancies or exposure to sexually transmitted infections, but also because of the profound emotional impact. Many people use alcohol as an escape, a way to silence their loneliness, evade their insecurities, or become more interesting. In this context, sex becomes merely a consequence of a prior emptiness, a desperate attempt to fill a void that cannot be resolved through physical contact. The outcome is often an even deeper sense of emptiness. If you've made it this far, it means this topic resonates with you, and that's precisely why I ask you. If this content is opening your eyes, subscribe to the channel right now. That way, you'll continue receiving in-depth, no-nonsense videos on subjects that truly matter. Furthermore, I want you to comment below about the most bizarre situation you've ever witnessed involving alcohol and relationships. Of course, without naming names, this helps others realize they're not alone. Marketing peddles a myth, the irresistible seducer holding a glass. Media perpetuates the notion that alcohol enhances sexual performance, but science contradicts this. In excess, alcohol is a formidable foe of erections and orgasms. This isn't a moral argument, it's pure physiology. Chronic alcohol consumption plummets testosterone, disrupts the nervous system, and even impairs coordination. The consequence? A mechanical, detached, and unfulfilling sexual experience. There is also the psychological effect of romanticizing, what in practice is merely emotional anesthesia. Sex under the influence of alcohol tends to be more impulsive, less affectionate, and less present. People are there, but they're not really there. They touch, but they don't feel. And this creates a vicious cycle. As they don't feel genuinely, they need more stimulation to achieve pleasure and end up drinking more. It's a silent wheel of dissatisfaction. The most dangerous aspect is that this pattern becomes a habit. Some people simply can't engage sexually anymore without drinking beforehand, because they believe that's the only way to be interesting or desirable. This is a prison disguised as freedom. Another seldom discussed point is the impact alcohol has on long-term emotional dynamics. In many relationships, sex only happens when alcohol is involved. This creates perilous emotional dependencies, where pleasure becomes contingent upon an external element, rather than the connection between individuals. Couples who profess love on the dance floor become strangers in daylight. Intimacy loses depth, and the body transforms into a mere automatic tool, devoid of emotion. This inevitably affects a person's self-esteem, self-image, and even their sexual identity. Many begin to question, am I genuinely attractive? Or am I only interesting when I'm intoxicated? It is at this point that traumas come into play. Individuals who have endured negative experiences involving alcohol and sex often struggle to articulate them. They remain silent, consumed by shame over something that, in truth, was a disguised cry for help. And the more they repress these feelings, the more they perpetuate the cycle. Eventually, the body begins to scream. Anxiety, insecurity, low libido, sexual dysfunction, all of these can be symptoms of an unresolved past. It takes courage to confront this with honesty, and even more so to seek a new way of relating to oneself and to others, without relying on alcohol as a crutch. We've reached the culmination of this discourse, and perhaps you're pondering, should alcohol then be shunned entirely? The answer isn't straightforward. The crux isn't demonizing the beverage, but rather comprehending its role within your personal sphere. If you only feel desirable, liberated, confident, or worthy of affection when under its influence, it's a cause for concern. For genuine pleasure, that which transcends the physical, arises only when we are fully present. It exists solely when touch is conscious, when gaze is clear, when the body is awakened. And that, my friend, alcohol does not provide. It deceives, it misleads, it obliterates. If this content resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. But that's not all. Share your thoughts in the comments. What did you learn from this video? Have you experienced something similar? How do you perceive this connection between alcohol and sex? Let's cultivate a genuine community of exchange where individuals can support and grow